In a critical test, President Biden held a nearly 2-hour video call with Chinese President Xi Jinping, warning there would be consequences if China provides material support to Russia in its invasion of Ukraine, according to the White House.
China has to make a decision for themselves about where they want to stand.
The backdrop to the call, tense, after U.S. officials accused Russia of asking China for military and economic aid, something both countries deny. The Secretary of State added to the urgency Thursday with this.
We're concerned that they're considering directly assisting Russia with military equipment to use in Ukraine.
In an apparent attempt to downplay concerns, China, in its readout of the call, said President Xi told Mr. Biden the Ukraine crisis is something that we don't want to see, adding conflict and confrontation are not in anyone's interest. But China still has not condemned the invasion.
We'll continue to watch until we see what actions they take or don't take.
Meanwhile, Russia called a UN Security Council meeting today to present claims of U.S. biological weapons labs in Ukraine. The U.S. ambassador to the UN called that a bizarre conspiracy theory, blasting her Russian counterpart's assertions.
President Biden has a word for this kind of talk: malarkey.
But Vladimir Putin putting on a defiant show, holding a rally in Moscow where he quoted a Bible verse, saying greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. The White House dismissing the event as a misinformation and propaganda rally. Kristen Welker, NBC News, the White House.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.